I want to thank Fund for Teachers for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. Truly, this is an honor, and I wasn't looking for this opportunity. It came to me. So thank you, Karen and Fund for Teachers, for believing in me to represent you. And I also want to thank my parents. They're here with me tonight, Colonel Oscar and Linda Greenleaf. My mom shaped me. Thank you. In my household, education was not a choice. My mother is a retired special education teacher and administrator, so I went to school year-round. So I thank my parents. I thank my parents for pouring into me educationally. I wrote one speech for this dinner tonight, and I redid that speech because the speech was so emotional. I didn't think that I would be able to stand before you and say what I needed to say. So I'm going to try my best to get through this speech before you. If you are educators like me, you remember your first day of teaching. Some of you, it might have been a year ago, some of you 2 years ago, some of you 10 years ago. But I remember my first day of teaching vividly. It was when I was 22 years old, and I was teaching here in Houston, Texas, at Robert E. Lee High School, an at-risk high school comprised of students from 40 different countries and speaking 70 different languages. On my first day, I thought to myself, I am completely terrified because I'm 22 years old and most of the children in my classroom are either almost my age or they are my age. Little to my dismay, a student by the name of James Kestner walked into my classroom during one of my periods, and James towered literally 6 feet and 7 inches tall. That day I thought to myself, my God, not only are they my age, but they're going to kill me because this boy looks like a giant. Thank God that same day, James found his place into my heart. You see, my room was equipped with ceiling fans, and James was the only person that was tall enough to reach the ceiling fans to turn them off for us when it became too cold in the room. I watched this child matriculate over the next duration of his few months at Lee High School, and from the beginning of the school year to probably mid-school year, I watched James decline in his academics. I watched him decline in his attendance, and I watched James decline in his behavior. And like teachers do, we called James in to a conference with all of his teachers and began to talk to him about his issues. Midway through our meeting, James ran into the hallway, crouched himself by the lockers, and began to cry and sob uncontrollably. One teacher walked out and began to console James. I tried to hold my seat, but if children mean anything to you when you see them going through an issue, you can't hold your seat. So I got up, ran out of the room, and wrapped my arms around this 6 foot 7 inch boy who at that particular moment looked no more than a helpless 2-year-old child. I thought to myself at that time, these children need more. So I began to formulate my mantra for teaching during those months. And I decided within myself, I am going to be a teacher that raises the bar. I am going to be a teacher that sets high standards for my student achievement. I am going to be a teacher that teaches my children with high rigor and engagement. I am going to be that teacher that pulls everything out of my students because I didn't want to see them go through what I saw James go through. And I tell you, I have discovered from my first year of teaching, and I continue to learn, that breakthroughs take place in classrooms when we find resources that are able to divert student focus from all of the other issues that hinder and impede their learning. They literally experience breakthroughs through these resources. As a teacher, we deal with day-to-day issues that affect our children. Some children come to school hungry. Some come with socioeconomic issues. Some come with emotional instability. Some children are withdrawn. Some children have learning disabilities. And some children are defeated. And they feel defeated because an authoritative figure has spoken into their life and told them, you will never rise above your community. You are a product of your environment. There's no way that you will graduate high school or matriculate in an institution of higher learning. It's our job as teachers to find resources that will thwart those misnomers and help those students become who they are created to become. And I'm thankful today that Fund for Teachers is a vital resource in helping us help our children become the productive citizens that they were created to become. I'm able to stand here boldly today and tell you that because I teach in a unique setting. I teach in the alternative campus at Alief ISD. And at my school, children come to me, as Karen said, from 45 to 60 days. I have a very small window to impact that child's life in such a way that they will no longer do the things that they did before they came to me. So constantly, I'm having to find resources, write grants, and do whatever it takes to get into my classroom what that child needs to not repeat that infraction. I see children from all walks of life. They come to me, and it's my job to help that child in such a way that they don't come back to me. Believe it or not, I was sharing with Karen yesterday when she came to my classroom. I told her it's sad, but most of the students want to come back to the alternative campus. They don't want to come back because they are in trouble. They want to come back because they see a teacher that cares for them. They see a teacher that is committed to their learning. They see a teacher that will not allow them to sleep in class, will not allow them to get away with cursing and being profane in front of an adult. They see a teacher that is invested in their education and is willing to go through whatever is necessary to make sure that that child gets what he or she needs so that they will not have to be labeled as one that just didn't make it. Through my Fund for Teachers Fellowship, I was able to travel to Italy and study Galileo math and science curriculum. Through that fellowship, I was able to retrace the steps of Galileo. I was able to observe a classroom in Rome and to compare it to my classroom here in America. I was able to climb the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and believe me, it's not easy as it looks. When I was climbing the Leaning Tower of Pisa, I thought to myself, and I documented it on the video, I don't know how Galileo did this every day, because these steps are tiring. If you've ever climbed the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They even have you stop and take a break to catch your breath before you transcend to the top of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. But I was able to do that. I was able to go to the university where Galileo was. I was able to take videos and photographs of so many different resources that we don't have in textbooks and that we don't have in our district curriculum and bring them back to my classroom. Not only did my work in Italy help my classroom, but it helped classrooms for teachers throughout my school and even teachers in my district. Astronomy now for the night school is different. It's different because they're able to look at photographs of Galileo's finger. They're able to climb the Leaning Tower of Pisa with a documented video. They're able to look at photographs of pictures that I took all throughout the region, and they're able to talk about tolerance. And for my children, children that love gangs and love violence, that is significant. It is the difference that keeps that child from going to jail and having a felony on their record, and keeps that child from being in the streets and getting killed, to being in the classroom and graduating at the top of their class. It's a possibility. It's a possibility, and I've seen it. In education, we see all kinds of tragedies take place. I told you I had to change my initial speech because it was so emotional. but I'm going to share a little bit of it with you so that you will know a little bit of my background. While I was at Lee High School, my very last year at Lee, 11 of my children were killed from hits on their life due to gang violence. 1.5 years ago, a little girl by the name of Natalie Carrillo, who sat in my classroom in third period biology day after day after day and aspired to be a nurse, committed suicide. At those times in my life, I thought to myself, these children need more. I thank God for Fund for Teachers and for you allowing me to matriculate during my fellowship, because you've given me more. And in turn, I've been able to give the children more. I've written several grants to get resources for our school and have received those grants. But this grant has made a difference in my life. This grant has made a difference in my children's life. This grant has made a difference in other teachers' lives, and it continues to make a difference. And I am forever indebted to you for allowing me to go to Italy and study everything that I studied. I even met with curriculum writers at the United Nations Educational, Science, and Cultural Organization when I was in Italy, because I wanted to know, how do you write your curriculum so that I can look at my curriculum and make sure that my children have exactly what they need. Mahatma Gandhi said it well. He said, we are to be the change that we want to see in this world. And I guarantee you, my children are able to see a change in me because you have afforded me the opportunity to travel to Italy and to learn about new subjects of which I had no idea. For that, I thank you. So to you, Karen, and Fund for Teachers, I thank you. To you, the many donors that have sown into this organization so that teachers such as myself will be able to accomplish our dreams, I thank you. And to my peers in education who inspire me every day to get up and go back to a school where you get cursed out, kicked, talked about, laughed at, I thank you. Because we are the change that our children need to be who they were created to be. Thank you. I'm speaking so well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Karen reminded me of something. I'm so excited and speaking so eloquently, I forgot really why I was up here. I remembered my speech and forgot the whole end. I am Patricia Greenleaf. I am a Fund for Teachers Fellow. Would all the other fellows please stand with me?